Trump administration backed down on its January 6th slush fund after national outrage and a revolt from both Republican senators and voters. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. There were primaries across the country on Tuesday, which offered an early indication of how the GOP might fare in November. But don't worry, Republicans are confident that everything will be fine.
The president has made America safer by taking out virtually the entirety of the Iranian military.
Do you think that that will hold in the midterms, meaning that the idea of national security, which I think is where you would argue, versus whatever you think the implication is for inflation, for the price of gas, all of the I don't know if unintended consequences of that?
I don't think national security decisions should be done based on short-term political considerations. I don't think it's going to impact the midterms materially. I've seen no data that suggests that this is having a big impact on the midterms.
You don't think people care about high gas prices? Do you not have a dad? Because I do. And he's not a big texter, but when gas goes over $4 a gallon, he blows up my phone like an angry girlfriend. And by the way, Ted Cruz, I know you have a dad because he helped kill JFK, according to Donald Trump. According to Donald Trump. That's a real thing Donald Trump said in 2016 that caused the Cruz campaign to issue a statement saying Trump is detached from reality, and his false, cheap, meaningless comments every day indicate his desperation to get attention and willingness to say anything to do so. Man, you read that and you think a lot has changed in the last 10 years. But one thing that hasn't changed is people care about the price of gas during elections. If you need more data on that, just ask Steve Kornacki. You don't even have to call him. You just say Kornacki 3 times and he appears like Beetlejuice. Just FYI, he does appear completely naked, so you're gonna wanna have some khakis on standby. The point is, it's obvious the war and high gas prices are having an impact on the midterms.
A new national poll shows President Trump's approval at his lowest point yet, with his worst ratings on the economy, gas prices, and the war with Iran.
Trump's approval rating fell to 34%, the lowest level recorded in the survey across both of his terms in office.
Trump's polling is worse than it was when he left office the first time, and for what it's worth, that's more on us than it is on him. It's not like when he lost in 2020, he went through some journey of self-discovery or personal improvement. He didn't enroll into an intensive president school. He just ranted and raved for 4 straight years, and this is exactly what we should have known was going to happen if he got elected a second time. Some of us might have even said as much. Dude has changed so little, he can't even admit he lost in 2020. He's still complaining about it now.
The election was rigged. The 2020 election was rigged. I used to say that a year and a half ago. The election was rigged, and the cameras would literally turn off. Yeah. And the anchor would say, "Sir, you're not allowed to say that. It was a rigged election." Biden lost in a landslide.
You won 2 elections. Why you got to keep bitching about the one you lost? You don't have enough nice things? You got to make stuff up too? You were actually Times Person of the Year. Be happy about that. Don't tell us you also won America's Sexiest Hand. But again, he's less popular now than when he left last time. And remember, he left after a riot and during a pandemic. But gas prices were lower, and for some people, that's all that matters. The country could be a post-nuclear wasteland ravaged by roaming hordes of mutant zombies. But if gas were under $2 a gallon, 90% of MAGA would say they approve of Trump, and 10% would say brains. And by the way, it's not just libs and coastal elites who disapprove of Trump. Even the core elements of his base are starting to buckle.
There's even a crack among his main base of supporters, the white working class. His approval rating among white voters who do not have college degrees is down sharply. It was at 68% at the beginning of his term last year. It's now at 46% this month, according to CBS News polling.
Male voters are abandoning Donald Trump. Take a look here. This gives the game away. Okay, Trump's standing with men. In November of 2024, he beat Kamala Harris among them by 13 points. Look at where he is now on his net approval rating. Down he goes. It's a 20-point shift away from Donald Trump. He is now 7 points underwater at this particular point among men.
Trump is underwater with the white working class and men? Who's left? Maha moms who love UFC and crypto? Republicans doing badly with white working class men is like Democrats doing badly with Brooklyn vegan dads who e-bike to the kombucha shop. So Trump's base is shrinking, and he's doing worse with the people who make up that base. And a big reason is that even hardcore Republicans think he's focused on the wrong stuff, like a slush fund for January 6th insurrectionists.
New polling shows just how unpopular the Trump slush fund is with Donald Trump's own supporters, including his strongest supporters. The Economist YouGov poll found that 52% of Republicans and 45% of MAGA supporters said they oppose the Trump slush fund. Only 32% of MAGA Republicans support Donald Trump's slush fund.
Even Republicans were against the fund, and these are people who love Donald Trump so much they dress up like him. By the way, no one ever did this for Democrats. I don't remember anyone showing up to rallies wearing Joe Biden teeth. Mostly because the glare off those bad boys was so bright that on sunny days, planes would crash. Seriously, check those out. Whatever you think of that dude, he had some sparkling chompers. That's what made the debate so unsettling. His beautiful teeth were gone. He just turned into Grandpa Simpson. The point is, even Republicans were mad at Trump over the fund, which boiled over into a shouting match with Republican senators last month.
We start this hour with breaking developments from Capitol Hill, where Senate Republicans are revolting over the Trump administration's new anti-weaponization fund.
Ted Cruz himself, he was on his podcast last week. He said Todd Blanche was at a meeting with Senate Republicans. Of about the 45 who were in there, at least 20 were pissed. He said it was one of the most fiery meetings that he's seen.
There were fireworks at an epic level. And I got to say, it's one of the roughest meetings I've seen in my entire time in the Senate. There were a lot of Republican senators who were just pissed. My guess is there are probably 45 senators in the room. At least half of them were blasting the Attorney General, and they were pissed.
They were pissed. They were almost as pissed as I was when I found out my dad killed JFK. Allegedly. Allegedly. This is how bad things are. Not only is the president's own party in open revolt over a slush fund for criminals who attacked the Capitol, but I have to listen to Ted Cruz's podcast to find out about it. Do you know what an ordeal that is? It's like 2 hours of listening to a sarcastic mosquito. Hey, this is Ted. Welcome to the podcast. So Republican voters and senators were furious about the slush fund, which is why, in a rare admission of defeat, the Trump administration decided to scrap it, announcing on Tuesday they would not move forward with the fund. But it's important to point out that the slush fund wasn't the only scandalous part of the supposed settlement Trump reached with his own Justice Department.
The settlement agreement between the Department of Justice and the president that established that fund also provides the president, his family, and his family-owned businesses with sweeping permanent immunity from prosecution for tax-related crimes.
I'm sorry, what? He gets permanent immunity for tax crimes? I've never heard of that. Even if you're acquitted in a murder trial, the jury doesn't say, you're free to go and you'll never be tried again for any murder. Wink, wink. It's especially insane when you consider what we already know. For years, Trump did not pay any federal income taxes. In 2016, in 2017, he paid only $750 in income tax. And according to a 2024 report, he may owe more than $100 million in back taxes. Now, you might be wondering why Trump owes $100 million in back taxes. The answer is actually very complex. You see, it has to do with long-term depreciation of assets and capital expenditures carried over multiple fiscal years and itemized deductions from adjusted gross income. And I'm just with you, he cheated. He cheated on his taxes. It's not more complicated than that. With Trump, it never is. If he doesn't want to do something, he just doesn't do it. He doesn't even give you a good excuse. It's like when he skipped his son's wedding last month and said he was busy with circumstances pertaining to government. So in other words, just being the president. Your whole job is circumstances pertaining to government. That's like me saying I couldn't go to my son's tuba recital because of circumstances pertaining to getting faced with pop stars. Anyway, the real story with Trump's unpaid taxes has to do with the tower he built in Chicago. That, and brace yourselves for a shock, lost money. An IRS investigation found that he allegedly double-dipped on tax breaks and that when Trump sought to reap tax benefits from his losses, he went too far and, in effect, wrote off the same losses twice. With sales lagging far behind projections, he claimed that his investment in the condo hotel tower met the tax code definition of worthless. because his debt on the project meant he would never see a profit. And if you're surprised Donald Trump could be a part of a real estate project with the legal definition of worthless, have you seen the current state of the White House? I'm not saying it's bad, but I just saw it described on Zillow as needs TLC, which is Zillowese for a hole. A few years later, Trump allegedly tried to double dip on those tax breaks. First, he shifted the company that owned the tower into a new partnership because he controlled both companies. It was like moving coins from one pocket to another. And that's definitely something I believe Donald Trump would do, probably when his sons asked him for ice cream money. Hold on, Eric, let me check my left pocket. There's nothing in there. Now let me check my right pocket. Oh, so 0 for 2. Now go lick an ice cube. The point is, Trump's deal with his own DOJ seemed to have wiped out a potential $100 million tax bill and given him permanent immunity from future audits. Although the acting attorney general, who was also Trump's former personal attorney, was very cagey about it with Congress.
So the blanket immunity is not something that you're going to move back on?
It's not blanket immunity. That's not true.
It is.
No, it's not.
Okay. United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of actions, appeals, requests for any reliefs. I mean, this is an order from you. Simply put, you just gave the president and his family a tax immunity to the tune of about $100 million.
Not true.
Well, yes, you have, my friend.
No, it's not true.
All right, so if it's not true, then when we get in that hundo mill? Is Trump going to write a check? Oh, no, don't tell me he's going to pay in crypto. I've agreed to pay the IRS $100 million in my new Trump coin, which is right here in my left pocket. Oh, no. Oh, this is so, what an awkward, it must be in my, oh, no. Even Republicans disapprove of Trump's priorities, and that's because his priorities seem to be organized around one principle, enriching himself. Meanwhile, prices for everything else are soaring, and that's why, if the polling is accurate, you might look back on the 2026 midterms and say the GOP
lost in a landslide.
This has been A Closer Look.